You ready? All right. Good afternoon and welcome to the City Council Mayoral Forum. My name is Joe Riedel and I serve as the chair of the Shawnee Chamber of Commerce Legislative Committee. It is my honor to moderate today's forum. The Johnson County Public Policy Council, comprised of 10 chambers of commerce serving Johnson County, developed today's questions focusing on business and community issues. We will begin candidate speaking order alphabetically and rotate throughout the forum. We will start with brief 3-minute opening statements by each candidate, followed by our Q&A, where candidates will each have 1.5 minutes to answer the question, and then wrap it all up with each candidate giving a 2-minute closing statement. Due to time constraints, there will be no follow-up questions, formal rebuttal time, or audience participation. So with that, we would like to introduce both of our candidates running for mayor. Again, going back to alphabetical order, we'd start with candidate Dr. Mike Kemmling.
Thank you. My name is Mike Kemmling. I'm running for mayor here in Shawnee. A little bit of history is I opened my business in Shawnee in 2010, which I owned and operated until 2020, and then was later called back to help with the operations with again. So I have owned and operated a business in Shawnee. I know what it's like to have to go to a bank and convince them to invest in you and to invest in your vision for your business. I know what it's like to meet payroll. I know what it's like to get paid last as an owner of a business. And so I know the pressures associated with that, and I know how the city and their ordinances can affect owning a business. I've been on the Shawnee City Council since 2013, and I'm currently the longest serving member. Ward 2 have sent me here 3 times as their representative, and a lot of things have changed over that time period. I initially got on the council because I wasn't happy with the way the council was going currently, and we've seen a lot of change over the years, including specifically in the last 2 years, where I feel like the council has made a lot of progress forward. We've gone from a council that primarily was passing what was put in front of us to one that asks tough questions, and we get revisions, and I feel like we're able to work with our citizens and get things right. We've been pushing towards having fiscally responsible budgets with lowering the mill levy, and as mayor, I'd like to continue to head in that direction. We know that the home prices or the assessments of your homes have continued to go up, which makes it expensive to live in Shawnee, and we're doing our best to control our portion of it that we're able to. I know a lot of the questions tonight are going to be regarding business and economic development, and I can tell you that in general my aim is in limited government in that scope, and I believe in the free market. I believe in policies that help all businesses, not policies that single out 1 or 2 or a few and give them money and tip the scales in their favor. So with that being said, this has been a consistent stance of mine my entire time on the council, and I'd like to continue it as mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And our next candidate, Mr. Sandifer.
Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sandifer. I've been a resident of Shawnee for over 60 years. I was a councilman in Shawnee Ward 4 for 16 years. I was on the Planning Commission and the Parks Board prior to that. I still serve on many boards and committees in the city as well as the county. My wife Donna passed away in 2018, and my term was up in January of 20. I decided I needed a break from public office. I've since remarried, and my wife Kathy is here with us this evening. The past year, I've had many people asking me to consider running for mayor. I've been saddened to see how many of our wonderful city staff have left Shawnee for jobs in surrounding cities. I've known and worked with many of them. In my time as councilman, I've been through many elections. I've never seen this before, and I've never seen morale so low. In my opinion, we've lost balance in our city council. The city elections are to be nonpartisan. That is no longer the case. Our country has become very divided, and it's trickled down to the city level politics as well. I believe I can offer experience without an agenda of my own, but I'm concerned about the present environment of the city council and the development in our city. I've been to many doors in Shawnee, and the citizens are very concerned with the direction the city has taken. I love Shawnee. I believe I have the experience necessary to bring a balance to the city. Thank you for inviting us here tonight. You know, and when it comes into anything like incentives in for our development. I would like to correct my opponent at the moment because he voted for one incentive in downtown Shawnee, and it was for Danny Flum. And that was the only one that he's ever voted for. So I do want to correct that right now while I have that opportunity.
Can I correct that directly?
We're trying to stay away from rebuttals right now.
That's fine.
You may find an opportunity
Yep.
in your questions here. So, all right. So into the questions and answers. Thank you for both giving us a background on why you're running. Going into the Q&A, and we're sticking here with Mr. Sandifer. What are your top 3 policy issues?
Okay. I believe we must be fiscally responsible while maintaining the city services. We've had good financial policies and practices. This has resulted in AAA bond rating, which means that when we borrow money for our large projects like street improvements, stormwater drainage, or any of our major improvements, we get a better interest rate and save the taxpayers money. I believe in treating the residents and businesses and staff with respect. I believe that our residents and businesses who show up to meetings and contact elected officials should be listened to and treated with respect. I don't think this is happening at this point. I believe in putting people before politics. I'm not a politician, and I have never been. I've spent a lot of time volunteering and serving on committees. I thought I had served my time as an elected official and was finished. But I was brokenhearted to see what politics has done to our city of Shawnee. That's why I'm running for mayor of Shawnee, and I'll put people before politics.
All right, thank you. Same question to you, Dr. Kemmling. As a candidate, what are your top 3 policy issues?
Yeah, I think my top 3 policy issues, one is to continue to lower the mill levy and do the best we can to get to a revenue neutral rate and continue to lower that burden on our residents that live here. The other thing I'd like to do is continue to focus on the necessities of local government, which is providing sound infrastructure, making sure that when you're driving that your roads don't have potholes, making sure that when it rains your basement doesn't get water in it, that our stormwater pipes are well maintained, and also that our fire and police are well staffed and equipped so when you call them they're able to show up in a timely manner and do their job. The other thing I would like to do is continue to focus on the issues we've had with zoning to help provide clarity for both the residents, what they can expect near them, and also our developers, what they can expect when they're looking to build in Shawnee. And I will say with the remainder of my time, I'm not surprised Mickey didn't do his research. I was not there the night we voted on Dan's incentive. I was on my 19th anniversary trip in Florida, so I did not cast a vote for Dan to get an incentive. So
you did the first time.
That's demonstrably false that I did not vote to give him an incentive. So I appreciate being able to clarify that. Thank you.
All right. Moving into the next question, and we'll stay here with you, Dr. Kemmling. What are your views on the value Shawnee businesses receive for their local tax dollars? And what changes, if any, would you propose to the city budget?
Yeah, so when we talk about value, it's a ratio, right? It's how much you spend to what you get. That's what determines value. If you spend a lot, you want to get a lot. And in Shawnee, we continued to lower the mill levy, but we've been able to do that without cutting your services. So we're giving you more for less. And when I first got on the council, the mill levy was near 25. It was close to 25. And while I was on there voting no on these budgets, it had risen to 26.6. And in the last 3 years, we've been able to cut that all the way back down to 23, which is a 13% cut on the mill levy. So from a value standpoint, I think we're providing more value than we ever have. We've been able to cut out some of the parts of the city budget that we didn't feel were necessary, things that people don't know, while still providing for these basics that I talked about earlier. And so I think we've got great value. I think we're providing an environment here where the businesses can thrive, and I would like to continue doing that as mayor.
Okay. Same question to you, Mr. Sandifer. Do you want me to repeat it or?
No.
Okay.
First, let me start by saying that our business community is an important factor contributing to the high quality of life here in Shawnee. No one likes to pay taxes, but our sales and property tax rates are very competitive with our neighboring cities in Johnson County. Those tax dollars directly support high quality services such as police, fire, good streets, roads, and wonderful park system. And if we have a safe community with good services, people will come and visit our businesses. Some will come and choose to stay in our community. And you know, when it comes to the tax issues, I have an email here from a lady in Ward 1 that came in last night, that she's lived there since 1952, and she's worried about, been promised storm drains, curbs, and sidewalks with all the new kids that have been coming into town. And she's concerned about the 3.5 mill levy decrease that has came out, of wondering that's why she can't have curbs, sidewalks, and streets. You know, to save somebody the money of less than a McDonald's lunch a month, and cut their services to the point that they can't get the limbs picked up out of their yard, and the same with the businesses. We need to reevaluate and watch what we're doing, and be a little bit more protective of the people in the city.
All right, thank you. And staying with you, Mickey, question number 3. The attraction of outside dollars in the form of tourism is a great way to stimulate the local economy. If you were elected, how would you work to attract new visitors to Shawnee?
I've spent 23 years on the Visit Shawnee. It used to be the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And I've served on Old Shawnee Days board, served Old Shawnee and helped with Old Shawnee Town on a strategic plan that was developed years ago in order to attract more visitors to our city. I want to see us continue to move forward with that plan. I volunteer every year at Old Shawnee Days, and I see over 100,000 people come in over that. We also have the Great Grillers Barbecue. We bring people in from all over the country, actually all over the country. They come in from everywhere for that. I'm also pleased that the city supports the field renovations at Mid-America Sports Complex. Those fields bring in thousands of visitors who spend money in our community, stay in our hotels, eat at our restaurants, and they're involved all over the city. I mean, we pack the city when these people come in. I mean, we're packing hotels in other cities. And this works through the Visit Shawnee community or organization. Works out very well. And I also am pleased for the city-supported fields renovating, well, like I said, Mid-America Sports Complex. Those fields, they're bringing thousands, spend money in our community. Let me back up here, sorry. There was a broader vision for that area for the sports centrics. Next to the ice skate rink, there was a piece of property there that the current city council had an opportunity to purchase. So the city would have control of that piece of property to try to keep it in a sports centric. The city council opted not to buy that piece of property. And so the city does not have any control over what happens to that piece of property at this period of time. So
Okay.
that's all I got.
All right, thank you. Dr. Kemmling, the same question to you.
Yeah, as far as attracting outside dollars, I will echo as far as wanting to continue to support the Valley of Champions area, that the people that are coming in from all over the state and the country continue to spend their money in Shawnee, not just there, but on some of the nearby areas. With that being said, I really don't believe it's government's role to buy land and try to develop it, or buy land and hold out so they can favor one personal developer. I don't believe in that. I think we'd hit on the fact that Old Shawnee Days is very successful, but I would like to continue our progress on Old Shawnee, or Shawnee Town 1929, to make that a year-round destination, or to make it more of a year-round destination than it currently is. And I'd also like to see us continue to support our downtown development that we have, but be able to do it without handouts, and to continue to have businesses grow through lower tax policies and lower and less regulations.
Okay, thank you. And staying with you, Dr. Kemmling, next question. With the announcement of the Panasonic plant neighboring to Soto, how do you see Shawnee taking advantage of this ripple effect that it'll have on surrounding communities?
Well, I think one of the things we need to do is continue to improve the K7 corridor that we have there, and that's something that's going to require a coordinated effort with our state. I feel like I do have a good relationship with our state senator and with our state reps there, so I think we can continue to develop that area because it would be physically close by. But I also think I would like for the people working there at Panasonic to have long-term buy-in to our community. And I think having some single-family houses that they can buy and be a part of the community long-term would be one of our goals, to have that available for them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I think bringing good paying jobs in the area is a great thing. I think it's going to increase demand for childcare, housing, and increase students in our school. I believe the state of Kansas Department of Commerce has a committee working to help address some of these challenges. Shawnee needs to be at the table, and we need to continue to offer quality services and increase our housing stock so that we can also benefit off of some of the economic boost from the plant. A lot of the salaries that will be coming from the Panasonic plant, they will not be able to afford to buy houses probably without any down payments. So we have to have some type of rental opportunities for them also. So we have to have a diverse housing set up in place to where we could get people in here. Everybody wants more restaurants. They want good restaurants. In order to get them, you have to have more people in to feed them. A restaurant cannot make it unless they have a lunch and dinner trade. And a lot of our restaurants have shut down over it because they did not have enough lunch and dinner trade. So the point is getting enough citizens in the city to be able to support the restaurants. We need more. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. And staying with you here, kind of along those similar lines in that area of the city. And Dr. Kemmling already touched on it a little bit, but an opportunity to expand. What do you see as the growth trajectory of the K7 corridor, and what types of development do you expect to see in that area?
Well, first off, we need to work with KDOT and our neighboring cities to make sure that the traffic continues to move safely down K7. I think we should look at the city's comprehensive plan for development guidance. There was a lot of time spent getting input from the community, the city, and the city council to develop this plan in 2021, I believe it was. And the plan cost $250,000. This is the community's vision. We need to follow that plan. If we read the comprehensive plan for guidance, an extension of Perimeter Park near 3 and 2 and Monticello Park and Shawnee Mission Parkway, the plan calls for mixed market, commercial, business, and multifamily, and that makes sense to me. You know, we have to deal with our congressmen in Washington, our state reps, and the cities around us, because the congressmen in Washington have brought us in money to help get our bridges in on K7 so we could get rid of the stoplights through there. We have an intersection at 75th Street in K7 that is a deadly intersection. It's been a lot of problems, and we can't afford to put a bridge in on it. So we need to definitely get in contact with our federal reps to see if we can get more funding for the highways.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Kemmling?
Yeah, as alluded to on K7, we need to continue to work with KDOT and make sure that we're developing the on-ramps, off-ramps that we need. But I think we also need to make sure we're working with our citizens that live out there. We do have this comprehensive plan. It does give us general guidance, but I think it's upon us as representatives of the city to make sure that we're listening to the people that have lived there for 30 years. We'll talk more about the comprehensive plan later, but it's hard to substitute one study or one plan for the firsthand knowledge of people that live in these areas. And so I think we do need to be very much aware of what's going in these areas and make sure that what we put in is a good fit. I don't think we need to be in a mad rush to develop these areas. I think we need to wait for the right developments to come in so that we can continue to have these restaurants that people want and the type of housing that people want there.
Okay, all right, thank you. And staying with you, next question. The city has experienced exciting growth in downtown Shawnee recently. What do you see as the next opportunities to keep this area growing and vibrant?
Well, we have a lot of momentum downtown, and I think it's going to continue. If anyone's listened to the council meetings, I have argued against giving seed grants and handing out money to specific developers down there. I want to provide the infrastructure that allows businesses to succeed without giving unfair advantages to just a few. I do know that some of the things we're looking at as issues so far is what's perceived to be too many bars in the downtown area. So I think we need to encourage sit-down restaurants and things to maybe dilute that, as well as also trying to address the parking situation downtown. There's very little parking. There were variances given to developments that I voted against at the time that kind of fed into this problem, and so we need to be aware of that and make it so people don't avoid going downtown just because they can't park. And then with that saying, I was also behind the Moonlight Market that we've had that's been very successful down there on Thursday nights. I voted for that. I think it's just one more way to help get people downtown that the government's able to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Sandifer.
Well, to get more growth into downtown, we need to be sure that we could get more people in there. We also need parking. Where the Wonderscope building is, I would be willing to suggest a parking lot out of that and maybe some type of a farmer's market area and parking area in that area. On the economic development, we have an economic development fund. It came from Deffenbaugh, now Waste Management. It's $3 million a year. $1.5 million of it goes to streets, to maintain the streets for an impact fee for their trucks. The other $1.5 million is for an economic development fund, and it doesn't come out of the city coffers. This is to help generate and bring economic development into the city of Shawnee. So, with that said, we had an opportunity a few years ago. Aztec Theater's been empty forever, and it used to be a storage for Shawnee Bank. It was just an empty facility. The Calkins boys came in and bought this facility up. They came in and they put, I believe it's $900,000 or something in this ballpark into it. And they needed $300,000 more. They came up with receipts of what they were doing. We gave them $300,000 out of the Economic Development Fund. They opened the Aztec. We started getting more people into Shawnee. They've done a fantastic job. We have a heck of a deal going there. We have McLean's. We wanted McLean's to come in. We wanted to keep the downtown atmosphere. We wanted to keep the AOK garage atmosphere. So I knew Jay, who owned that before. That garage was rough. That garage should have been torn down. So they put, I believe it's somewhere in the ballpark of $850,000 into it. We put $300,000 into it. We got McLean's. We have one more opportunity for Marigolds, which is across the street from Donovan's. And we have a nice restaurant. Our Chamber of Commerce got together with this guy that was not going to do anything, the owner of the building. And the Chamber got together with him, sold him on the idea of a nice restaurant, but he had to fix it up. So he's putting money into it. The city put $300,000 out of this Economic Development Fund into it. We're going to have a nice restaurant. We're going to get that blighted area fixed up and cleaned up. My opponent voted against every one of them. And I wasn't interested in having a ghost town. I'm very happy with what's going on in Shawnee and how we're getting it built. And we're using money that's coming from Waste Management, not from our city coffers.
All right. All right, question 7, and we are staying here with you, Mickey. Top issue for all employers, public or private, is the need for a qualified workforce. What role do you see the city of Shawnee playing in attracting qualified workers and/or addressing some of the barriers for employees such as childcare and attainable housing?
Well, workforce, childcare, and housing are issues for cities all across the country. Attracting affordable housing to meet the needs for a growing city was identified by the community as part of the Imagine Shawnee. Shawnee needs to be at the table with Johnson County and the rest of the city, Kansas City region, learning about best practices so that we can partner and bring solutions into Shawnee. I would also look to churches, schools, and daycares to have conversations about what can be done to help the city with this type of ordeal. Working together, we are more likely to find solutions so that we can offer good quality of life, housing at all different price points, and access to quality education and transportation. That's about what I have.
Okay. Dr. Kemmling?
On the role of city government in attracting qualified workers?
Yeah, I can repeat the question if you want me to.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
You know, I've said earlier, I believe in limited government, so I don't believe government needs to be involved in every area of our life. I don't believe that they need to be necessarily providing us with childcare. As someone who has 5 children, I do know the difficulties of finding childcare. It's not easy, especially to find that for 5 young children to be able to afford it. But I do believe that a lot of those childcare areas are small businesses. They are in these houses that we're doing our best to try to keep the property taxes low on. And as far as the housing goes, I think we need to continue to grow, but we need to grow in ways that fit the surrounding neighborhoods, not put 5-story apartments amongst single-family houses. We need to do things that are appropriate in our growth and make sure that those type of housing options are available.
Okay. Thank you. And staying with you, next question. The City of Shawnee recently adopted a new strategic plan and new comprehensive plan. How do you foresee using these documents to inform your goals as mayor over the next several years?
Yeah, so the comprehensive plan is an interesting deal because unlike our Constitution, it is a living, breathing document. It is something that's going to be open up for change and revision. We know that a current council can't bind a future council to vote a certain way on things. So when one council says, yeah, this is the plan that we think looks good, that does not mean every single council after that has to go along with that plan. And what people don't always realize is that a comprehensive plan is just that. It says this area may be suitable for multifamily. And what our job on the council is to look at each proposal that comes in, because not every multifamily proposal is appropriate for a certain area. In one area it might be an apartment, in another area it might be townhomes. And so our goal with this comprehensive plan is to continue to modify it as some of these details come up. It's easy to look at a map and say generally that would be appropriate, but then when a developer comes with something very detailed and specific, it is part of the job of the council to look at that and say, is this an appropriate development for this area? And so I think we can go back and we can revise this, but I think that the comprehensive plan is something that will change. And I do feel like the council has done a good job of listening to our residents and representing them on the developments that come in and make sure that they're appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Mickey?
Well, on the comprehensive plan, the strategic plan, this plan was set up and put together by the Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development Council, the residents of the city staff, and the city council. So they paid $250,000 to put together this plan. I don't believe that you'd spend $250,000 in 2021 and decide to change it in 2023. I believe the plan was put in place by a lot of qualified people, a lot of qualified citizens. And this is what they wanted to see for the city of Shawnee. For a city council and 40 or 50 other people, when we have a city of 71,000 people, to make a decision to change a comprehensive plan without having the city, the residents, and the businesses, the city involved, having everything involved to make this thing work and put it together, and it is very expensive to do this. I don't believe the city council should be changing a comprehensive plan just at a whim because of 40 or 50 people or 30 people or 20 people or 7 that's on the council that can make these decisions because they get along so well. You know, so that's my opinion on this. I think we need to continue to use what we have. This is what the developers have been planning on. That's why we have a lawsuit in the city at the moment. It's because we have a plan out there and everybody is within legal rights to go after us over it. So, and to change it just because of that is wrong.
Okay, next question, and sticking with Mickey. What role, if any, do you believe the city should play in economic development to bring jobs and capital investment to the community?
The first thing is providing quality city services. If the community isn't safe, businesses won't be drawn to Shawnee. If traffic is a problem, it's the same. The city needs to work hand in hand with the Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Council to help recruit businesses. I was on the council and supported the plan for what is now Heartland Logistics Park, the old Eco-Commerce Riverfront Park. There was a lot of work the city did for years to look at floodplain issues and sewers to make sure that this area is development ready. That is the role of the city. I also believe in the intentional use of incentives. We have a lot of success over the years. Perimeter Park, Tri-X, for example, Bear, I believe they've had about $700,000 worth of build in our city, or $700 million worth of build out in our city. And if we didn't give them, they're paying full boat taxes now. If we didn't give them the incentives, that could very possibly still be a drive-in theater. That's what it used to be years ago. You know, so, And the downtown Shawnee Mission, from the east city limits to south corner of Shawnee Mission Parkway and Flom, where Johnny's is now. If we didn't give those incentives, we would not have what's going on right now. And they've cleaned it up. They've got businesses in there, they're busy. And they're all fully on the tax rolls now. We're getting the full boat from everything, you know, and that's the point of giving the tax incentives. You get them in, they start building, you've got the buildings, they're gonna pay. And at the end of the incentives, you're on a full boat. And we don't, if you remember rightly, a lot of people, we had a lot of big box grocery stores that were empty for 20 years. They didn't have incentives. So now we're trying to work with it, we're filling the places up.
Dr. Kemmling?
Are you on the question of what role the city play?
Yeah.
Did you skip
What role,
the
if any,
one?
do you believe the city should play in economic development to bring jobs and capital investment to the community?
Okay, did we do the one above it?
Yeah.
The location?
On the location?
Okay, I'll just answer the one you asked. What role should the city play in economic development? It's as I've said earlier, we need to have an environment where businesses can succeed and thrive. I don't believe in incentives. I don't believe if your business plan is faulty and a bank won't loan you money, that I should then take my citizens' money and loan it to you in place of that. I don't believe the city should be giving up our sales tax for 20 years to build a development. I don't believe the city should be placing additional sales tax on people that go to place to hand it over to developers. I don't believe the city should be placing special assessments on new development so the developer can get those special assessments. I don't believe in doing that. I didn't do it. And if your business plan is good enough, then you don't need incentives. If you do need incentives, I'm not willing to transfer that risk to my citizens and have them on the hook for those type of developments. So I don't believe in the incentives and the handouts. I believe the government just needs to do their job as far as making sure that the roads are there, that the police and fire are there, and that people are wanting to come to Shawnee.
Okay. And 10th and final question as far as the Q&A portion of this, and then after this you'll each have 2 minutes for the closing statement. So final question, if you are elected to serve as mayor, you will be representing all of Shawnee. Tell us how you will lead for the entire community, including those who may have different views or did not vote for you. How would you plan to reach out to these constituencies and better understand their needs and issues?
Yeah, I would continue to lead the way I've done in the last 10 years, which is based on principles. One of the best compliments I received was actually from someone who very much disagreed with me on the council. Jeff Fott said, I don't agree with Kemmling, but at least we know where he's going to stand. And I've been able to provide that principled and consistent stance. I think most people on the council who disagree with me at least know where I'm going to stand and why I'm doing that. I have been able to lead in ways such as when we had the community center in 2019, I was one of the few people that opposed building a massive community center that was going to be expensive and that was going to compete with local businesses. And the citizens of Shawnee ended up agreeing with me 72%. And so this is the times when I've been able to lead, even if it's not necessarily popular with the current council around me, and to be able to listen to our citizens and work with them. I don't hold a grudge, and as you know, if you've listened to any of the recent councils, we have a lot of 5-4 splits. But as alluded to by Mr. Sandifer, we still get along. 7 of us get along. We were able to disagree. We don't have the type of personal insults that we used to have on the council. We don't have people questioning motives and putting ulterior motives where they don't belong. I think we've really been able to elevate the discussion and the conversation at the city level. And so that's how I would lead. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Mr.
Okay.
Sager, do you need to repeat the question? It's kind of a long
No,
one. Okay.
no. I believe even though I have different views from other people, we can still get along. So much can be learned when we truly listen to each other with an open mind. If elected mayor, I will do my best to listen to the concerns of the Shawnee citizens and the business owners. Shawnee is a large with diverse community. Everyone deserves to be heard. The importance of a person's problem or situation shouldn't be based on the amount of money that's in their bank account. You know, I believe that we need to take the politics out of our city and start listening to the people again. I have emails here from people where all over the city council members never call them back. I've never, ever had that issue. There was an issue at one period of time that was brought up in the city, and I went to 88 different doors with our city budget to explain it to every one of the people. And not one of them had an issue after I sat down and explained it with them. Anybody that contacts me will be contacted back. That's me. I've always done this. And I have to say that our current city council this is not what's happening. And I have that in emails. So that's where I'm at with that.
Okay, and with that, we conclude the question and answer portion of this evening's forum, and we will move into 2-minute closing statements, and staying here.
Okay.
Mr. Sandifer, 2 minutes.
I'd just like to get back to what has brought me to the point of making the decision to run for mayor of Shawnee. We have had an excellent staff working in our city. We have lost many good people to other cities. They are willing to take a salary less than what they were making here in Shawnee because of the present environment. We pay good, qualified people to run our cities. When we don't take the advice that they give us, I understand that the council's job is to listen to new ideas and to present them to the people and to represent their wards. But I would like to see the council follow the comprehensive plan laid out in the 2021. This plan was put together with the citizens of Shawnee. We shouldn't scrap a plan every time a new council is voted in. As I said earlier, I've been through many elections and I've never seen staff leave at this rate. They have in the past few years. My hope is that we can leave partisan politics at the door and take care of the real and present needs of our citizens. Thank you again for having us here tonight.
All right, thank you. Dr. Kemmling.
Yeah, in closing, I just want to say that I've been really proud of what this council has been able to accomplish in the last few years, not just in the dialogue that I had mentioned earlier, but the fact that we have been able to communicate directly with our citizens and work with them. Things in the past that would be rubber stamped and passed along are things that we now work with. And one example is Midland Drive, where we were told in order to get the federal government money, we'd have to pass something that the residents that lived on Midland Drive did not want. And so we communicated and we came up with something that accomplished our goals, but at the same time was suitable to the people that would be losing property for it. And so I'm proud we've been able to do that. You know, I've yet to hear a political party or anything mentioned during campaigning or at the dais. So I feel like the buzzword of partisan is really being misused and disingenuous here. I will say that at the end of the day, I'm going to continue to fight for small government and lower taxes, and we're going to continue to provide the services that we've done with taking less from you at the end of the day. And with all that being said, the council, when we listen to our citizens and we've denied some of these inappropriate rezonings, we have been taken to court. What doesn't come out is that every time a judge says, hey, you guys were right, City of Shawnee, we've yet to have a judge come out and say, you improperly denied rezoning. So anybody can take us to court. Any developer can sue because they don't like something. But when it sits before a judge and the attorneys argue, they've sided with the City of Shawnee every time so far. And so I think we've been responsible and done a good job on our rezoning. And I think we have had some high-level staff turnover. And I think part of that is because in an organization, people have to have a similar goal and be pulling in the same direction. And I think for some staff, it's better for them and for us if they go to an organization that has a similar vision and goal to what they have, and we have people that have similar visions and goals to what we have. And so we've got a great new senior staff coming on. We've had people step up in multiple areas, and the city's operating at a great level, and I'm proud of where we're at, and I'd like to continue the progress. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And with that, that concludes our forum for the Shawnee City Mayoral. Mayor, thank you both for participating on behalf of this Shawnee Chamber, and especially the Legislative Affairs Committee of the Shawnee Chamber. Thank you, Dr. Sandifer. For more information about candidates, videos of these and other candidate forums and advanced voting details, please visit www.votejoco.com. And please share the voter resource along with your colleagues, family, and friends. Also, on behalf of the Chamber, I'd like to thank everybody for showing up and participating and coming out to check out what these candidates have to say. Thank you.